Welcome, 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 everyone, to our Power Thinking, Rejuvenating Your Amazing Mind training for Wednesday. It is July the 8th, 2026. This is our 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time edition. I'm your moderator, Stanley Green, and I'm joined by my co-host, past president of the Winston-Salem Black Chamber of Commerce, one of our first and early partners, going back at least 5 years or so. And he has his own company, Ernest Harvest, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But we're going to be focusing on building these absolutely essential skills of resilience to help us through those tough times. Now, we may be getting out a little early, probably about 5 minutes early, because at 8 a.m. I have a replay of a demonstration of the Power Thinking mobile app that will start at 8 a.m. So it's automatic. And so we want to be out before then, because last week when we went over about a minute or so, it actually cut off the playing of that altogether, and we had to get it restarted. So we appreciate you each and every week as we build these skills, so that when adversity hits, not if but when, and all you have to do is look at the news to see some of the big adversities that are happening all over the world. But then there are things that are unique to us, in our lives, as we go day to day. It may not be on the level of something catastrophic, but it's certainly it could be something that stresses us. And we don't have to just live with that and say, well, these are the things that trigger certain emotions, and it's just the way life goes. It doesn't have to be that way. We can reduce significantly, or even eliminate, many of these negative emotions and these stressors. And I can go back and I talked a little bit about some of the work I did in various companies, and I used to always talk about, there's stress, and then there's unnecessary stress. And so we want to eliminate the unnecessary stress. And through this training, we're going to help you to be aware of the kinds of things that are triggering you, that the activating events that may, have you jump to a particular negative emotion like anger or anxiety, and now examine the belief. So it takes us to what we're focusing on today. We have our 7 inner strengths of resilience. We have our 7 skills. We're going to focus on Power Thinking Resilience skill number 1, learning the ABCs, understanding the ABCs. It is absolutely critical. All psychologists and therapists know about this particular skill. They're taught this in college. It was developed by one of the 2 fathers of what everyone knows now is cognitive behavioral therapy, Dr. Albert Ellis. You can look him up. And he developed something called rational emotive behavioral therapy. And he developed this ABC model. And on the graphic, I have it up where you can actually see we're talking about now the adversity, or the activating event, or the trigger, which is the common language that's used today. The belief about what happened, this activating event or adversity, that then drives our response, the consequence. Those one of those big negative emotions, usually, whether we're angry or, sad or embarrassed or feeling guilty, or one of the big ones, which is anxiety, this fear of a future threat. So this is absolutely key. And the beauty of what we do with power thinking is that every single thing we talk about, whether it's a strength or a skill, this alone is particularly focused on the skills that we need to develop. Alone, any one of the 7, and we go to 1, avoiding thinking traps, and there's 8 thinking traps. The focus on just one thinking trap or one skill makes a significant difference in reducing that level of stress, in reducing, or in some cases, even eliminating the negative emotions. So we shared a video with you called ABC Model Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. So I want to get your thoughts about that. And as our co-host Calvin Patterson talks, he's going to talk a little bit about, you know, business, how this relates to business and fundraising. So want to introduce Calvin. Thanks for joining us. Talk a little bit about uh, some of your background and your company and what you do, and how long you've been with us in this ABC model. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Stan. Good morning, Power Thinking family. I'm Calvin Patterson. I'm here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We are entrepreneurs. We have a company, Ernest Harvest LLC. And I mentioned the we part of it, while most people associate the company with me because I'm the face of the company. We are a team. It's myself and the Queen, my wife Anita, as well as my nephew Dwayne. So we're the core of this LLC. We've been around. Next month we'll make 21 years. We started in August of 2005, and we focus on business as Stan related. Of course, when one is a consultant, it can be a real hodgepodge of what we consult about. But in our case, we help folks with fund development, which includes grant writing, grant seeking. We help folks with starting organizations, both nonprofit as well as for profits. I teach webinars and seminars throughout the North Carolina Small Business Center network. There's 55 community colleges. Each of them have a small business center. So we have relationships with about 35 or 40 of them. And then we help folks who just want to bounce an idea off of somebody. And of course, we work with other corporate partners as well. So I am tremendously grateful to Stan, tremendously grateful for this platform. I have been a member, actually was introduced to Power Thinking and Stan through the previous president of the Winston-Salem Black Chamber of Commerce, Randon Pender. So a big shout out to Randon. And of course to the other leadership
Oh
team
yeah.
members of the Winston-Salem Black Chamber of Commerce, Gloria Hairston and others who are Power Thinking members. um, we are grateful that we had that introduction to Stan, and as the old saying goes, the rest is history.
Yes, exactly. So thank you so much. So let's get to the subject, and let's start with Carla Hill. If you have any comments about the video that we shared, it was a 3-minute video called ABC Model of Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. Uh, Feel free to hit that *6 or make a comment. And I want to thank Leslie Flowers for joining. Put her up, and let's go back to our other view here. Uh, and Olu out of Nigeria, says welcome as well. So we really appreciate you both and appreciate you for being with us. If you have any comments about the video that we shared, feel free to hit that *6. A great video, I thought, on the ABC model. And we'll go to Carlin, and I'd love to hear your comment as well, Calvin. And in the video, what it talked about was, it gave an example of this ABC, a relationship between the adversity or the activating event, the belief about that adversity, and the consequence, which drives the consequence. And most people go from, the activating event straight to the consequence. Something happens, activating another activating event, getting cut off on the road, and we'll go right to the anger, right? As opposed to analyzing what we believe. Last week, we talked about detecting iceberg beliefs. What do we, believe deep down when something like that happens? Many people believe, unfortunately, that this person did something to them. They violated their rights to have a nice drive. And as a result, they're going to be angry when you believe that somebody violated your rights. But if we change that belief, someone else can look at it and go, well, maybe this person was in a hurry. I'm not going to take it personal, or maybe get into a hospital to see a loved one, or maybe they're running late for a meeting. It's nothing to do with me. I'm going to have a good day. And we saw this last week where person who, the wife got in the car, the gas tank was empty, and she got really irate and got out of the car and really gave it to her husband. And if she would have examined, her deep rooted belief about the situation, that she could have felt, well, maybe this is something I need to talk about. And she actually had to reach out for help to get that resolved. So, love to get your thoughts about the video and examples they gave, where the person goes into the market, sees a friend, and they say hi. The friend says hi and just keeps going. And the person's thinking, wait a minute, well, I'm expecting a conversation. So did I do something wrong? And all of this is playing out in their minds. So we'd love to get your thoughts about that. Have you had any opportunity to use this ABC model, especially those of you who've been with us for a while? Do you have any examples? So let's go to Carla Hill. Carla, thank you for joining us. Mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about the ABC model. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, Stanley. Good morning, Calvin. Shout out to Calvin. And as you were talking about earlier, it may not be the reason to come to power thinking in terms of all the relationships and business. I mean, Winston-Salem Black Chamber of Commerce, they solicited my services. I've had the opportunity to serve there, and Ms. Catherine's been great just in terms of the leadership. So that's definitely a benefit. And but for me, it's why I participate is because I want to be active in my learning. If I'm passive, I just don't learn as much. And anybody that's done like the intrinsic assessments with me, drive, what really motivates me is people and goals, right? So, one thing I learned along my journey is, and I love the sports analogy, just being a big sports fan growing up, is that I'm going to play right on the field. I'm not going to be a spectator in my own life. So that's why when I'm here, I'm going to show up because I know I'm going to speak, and I want to be a resilience practitioner. And what comes up for me in this ABC model is I have to think in my human resources. Have you ever had to use it? Reflecting on one of the most what's the word? Just traumatic issues that I had to deal with was I had to. The city of Philadelphia has a rule that if you are in jail for 5 days consecutive, it's abandonment of position. There's no there's no leave time for jail. So I had a person on my staff. She didn't report directly to me. She reported to my administration, but I've used her as a mentee and just. But there was a domestic abuse situation that involved a gun and had to be in jail, and I had to go through the steps of terminating her personally. Now, so in terms of called all sorts of names, but in my mind, what I took away from this, I love the phases that they went through here. Right? What's the activating event? Okay, I'm going to have to terminate this person. We serve her, right? And the belief, I'm not happy about this. It's really traumatic. I don't want to do this, right? But the union, and she's thinking that this is just terrible, right? And I'm thinking all along, how am I going to resolve this situation? Because I know there's mitigating factors. And then what the person talked about in the video is that out of these 3 levels, where there's activation for belief, the consequence, you have the ability to intervene. He said intervene, but my word is disrupt, right? Yeah. In terms of the consequence. Long story short, everything turned out fine because I had to leverage the system, and she's doing great. But the thing is, at the consequence, the action I had to take during the consequence, right? Because I knew all along I'm thinking this out, and the strategy had to be where this person wasn't going to be harmed in terms of the punishment. Yeah. So that's what allowed me to think about this and talk about it. If I wasn't going to talk, I probably wouldn't even think this deep. But that's what allows me to pick up the resilience skills that I have a goal to acquire and to practice. So
Yeah.
thank you for the space, and I'll toss it back to you.
Thank you, Carla. Really appreciate it. And we'll go to Greg Jones next. But before we do, Calvin, my co-host, any thoughts about what Carla shared?
I am always grateful when I listen to Carla or to anyone sharing on this platform. She brings a wealth of wisdom and understanding, and what really resonates with me is when she uses real life examples to touch on whatever principles, skill, or strength that we're talking about. And one of the words that Carla just used, and she just used it once, was the word reflect. So yeah, when I'm going from A to B, if I take a moment to just pause, right, and not get caught up in a knee jerk reaction, in the pace of the world that we're in, and we're multitasking, and the various roles and all of what we're involved in on a daily, hourly basis, it's easy to just get caught up in the flow of things. But to use that moment, that second or a couple of seconds, to just pause and reflect, and then I have the ability perhaps to think a little bit more clearly, to really look at, why am I thinking or feeling this way. And to be
Mhm.
clear, Stan, sometimes people do things to mess with us, to quote unquote press our buttons, right? Sometimes it's intentional, but
Yeah,
many times, I say more times than not, it is a case of, yeah, they're doing whatever it is they're doing, and it's not focused on me personally. I
yeah,
just happen to be in the arena. So yeah, that word reflect that Carla used, that ability to pause and really get some awareness, some emotional awareness that I am in fact feeling this way or thinking this way, before I get to the belief system of why am I feeling this way. And then of course the consequences. What are the
yeah,
consequences if I change how I'm thinking and believing? Oh, then the consequence becomes good. I make my appointment on time, I don't get in an accident, I don't cuss somebody out, my
yeah,
reputation is not spoiled. So yeah, that word that Carla used, reflect, or for me to pause, that
yeah.
that's always helpful in applying these principles for me.
Great. Excellent. Excellent. So we have Greg Jones and we have Olu coming up. Let's go to Greg Jones next. Greg, thanks for joining us. Mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about the ABC model. Welcome.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm calling in from Rosedale, Queens, New York, to Brooklyn, New York. I'm on a piece of real estate that I know Brother Calvin is very familiar with, which is called the Belt Parkway. And I have my soon-to-be 10-year-old granddaughter with me,
All right.
Ariel. Ariel, say good morning. Say good morning, Power Thinking family.
Good morning.
Well, good
Good
morning,
morning.
Ariel.
Yeah.
Getting ready to go to camp.
All right. Yeah, she's
So,
focused on camp.
I didn't watch the video,
Mm-hmm.
but one of the things, first of all, it's through the connection of Brandon Pender and Calvin Patterson, who at the time were overseeing the Winston-Salem Chamber of Commerce,
Mm-hmm.
that I even got connected with Power Thinking in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So, to God be the glory.
Yes.
Amen.
Secondly, in terms of growth opportunities, I've had the privilege on numerous occasions. I'm still trying. I had to call Power Thinking to reconnect with him, but one-on-one, I've had an opportunity to be coached and mentored and have positive exchanges with Calvin Patterson, almost going back a decade now.
Wow.
And this is simply the reason, simply from him coming to a church doing a visit to New York, and here the rest, as they say, is history.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to share real quick. We're dealing with anger,
Mm-hmm.
being emotional versus being rational,
Mm-hmm.
right? And a lot of times, because a word that was used earlier, we have these triggers, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You can move from being rational to emotional very quickly.
Yeah.
If you're not if you don't have self-control or even self-discipline.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen to you just like that.
Yeah, that's right.
So you know, and sometimes I do this with my grandson. You got to exhale. You got to pull it back in,
Mm-hmm.
or as Calvin said, pause, and then you can get back on the rational track. Because if you don't, those minutes or seconds of irrational behavior or anger, or like the young people say, you're in your feelings.
Yeah, in your feelings. Yeah,
can lead you down a path or down a track where you can't get it back.
Yeah.
That you can't get back.
Yeah.
The action of behavior that can result from being irrational or emotional, rather.
Yeah.
You can't get that back.
That's right.
Right? And so if you can take that 30 to 60 seconds and pause and try to get yourself under control and look at the bigger picture,
Mm-hmm.
then you can continue on with your mission and your purpose for that moment and for that day. But
Wonderful.
if you don't, because we all got triggers.
That's right.
You know,
For
Well,
sure.
great.
be careful. So I watched the video, but I'm sure somewhere in the ABCs of being rational as opposed to emotional is crucial.
There we
And
are.
as our brother Calvin Patterson would say, I am complete.
Fantastic. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you. And again, Ariel, have a good time at camp. Thank you very much for joining and for your comments. Remember, Albert Ellis, who developed the ABC, he's known for rational, emotive, behavioral therapy.
All right.
So you just captured it all there, Greg. Let's go to Olu very quickly. And Olu, give us a couple of minutes, and then we're going to wrap up with Calvin. Thanks for joining us. Mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about the ABC model. Welcome.
Yeah. Hi, Stanley.
How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very well indeed. Thanks to God, thanks to you, thanks to the space and all that I've gotten from it. Not necessarily, while having a pen and paper with me taking notes, but over the years, even more than the techniques or just as much as the techniques, the success stories, however minimal it has been, from everyone who's spoken over the years has made a lot of difference in where I stand in life, the way I look at life, and then the way that I move, and I thank you for that. I really do, because, my situation was not so wonderful at all. In fact, to be honest, it was pathetic, and I was grappling with a lot of things.
I remember.
But when you hear people, thank you, thank you a lot. Thanks to Calvin, thanks to, Carla, everybody who shared, all of those shares have seeped into my being, and strengthened the framework, of my life and made it possible for me to move in a different way. It's an interesting technique for certain, an interesting one indeed.
Yes.
I think there's this saying that we tend to hear a lot when people say, just breathe.
Yes.
Just breathe.
Just breathe.
I think that works too, when it comes, controlling, our thoughts and not allowing them to race all over the place. I've seen a scene some years back in a movie where someone was actually walking a dog or two dogs, and these huge dogs, and then, the dogs started running and they were basically dragging, the guy after them. And I mean, seriously, because they were large dogs. That's the picture that I have in my mind about thoughts. When we don't try as much as we can, to acquire the ability to control them.
Yep.
If we are unable to do that, they will control us.
That's right.
They will drag us in every direction. And what would happen is that at the end of the day, we'll be fatigued.
Yep.
You know, we'll be wrecked.
Yep.
The wear and tear would be incredible.
Yes.
You know, so it's critical
Yep.
that we learn,
Yeah.
you know, the techniques
Yep.
that we share here.
Great.
You know, and with the ABC,
Yep.
you know, technique also.
Yep.
We have to first of all, during any situation, just tell ourselves, calm down.
There it is.
Just hold on. Just pause.
There it is.
Pause.
Yep.
You know, so that then you become conscious of your thoughts.
Yep.
And then choose
Yep.
either the ones that have presented themselves or you create new ones.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank
It's
you,
always a
Olu.
pleasure.
Really appreciate that. Always great input. We appreciate you. And Calvin, as we wrap up in a minute, your closing thoughts and how people can get in touch with you.
Well, they can get in touch with me by going to our website, www.earnestharvest.org. Ernest is spelled EARNEST, harvest, HARVEST.org. You can give me a call at 336-813-5073, or you can send an email at C, my first initial, C, and then Patterson at earnestharvest.org. And as far as today's opportunity, again, thank you so much, Stan. Something, and I keep mentioning Carla just because of the relationship. It's something that Carla mentions time and time again about how this is a process and we have to practice. We have to practice. We have to practice. So
Right.
I mentioned, you know, having things pinned up on my wall, but kudos to you, Stan, because now I can practice using my phone. I can go to my
Right.
mobile app, all of the notifications, all of the previous recordings, as you know, while I'm moving and doing what I need to do. So kudos to you for making it easier to access the principles, the sessions, what's been shared through the evolution of power thinking over the years. And with that, I am complete.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Calvin. Perfect lead in to our Power Thinking mobile app demo that's coming up at 8 o'clock. We do it 8 a.m. and we do it 8 p.m. For just 30 minutes. So hang in. It's going to be LinkedIn or YouTube. YouTube, Power Thinking Corp channel, LinkedIn, the Stanley Green page, Stanley H. Green for Facebook. But just focus on Power Thinking Corp on YouTube, on the Stanley Green at LinkedIn, and check it out. They'll be repeated 8 a.m., 8 p.m. And remember, since we spend all of our time thinking these 50,000 thoughts a day, we must think with power and utilize power thinking. All right, I'm not going to mention everybody because there's a lot of names. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to go jump off. Appreciate you all. Take care. Have a great day, everybody.
Peace
All
and
right.
power,
Bye.
everyone. Peace and power.
All right. And Calvin, thank you very much. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
Look forward to it, Stan. Have a blessed day.